All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is Something is Coming. Ex-border official concerned after watch list arrests. All right, check it out.
Right away to Tom Homan, who ran ICE under former President Trump and is a Fox News contributor. Tom, your first indications that we were in trouble, even before these arrests, you alerted us to. You were one of the very loud voices saying, this is what's going to happen. Why has it happened now? What are we just not doing right?
Oh, we're not doing right.
You're right, Harris. For 3 years, I've been screaming about this. Yeah. Fentanyl's killed 100,000 people, right? This trafficking women and children up 600%. But I said from day one, my biggest concern is that this open southern border has created the biggest national security vulnerability this nation's ever seen. And this administration is doing nothing about it. They haven't slowed the flow. They still got catch and release. Look, I just looked at the data this morning. People need to know, in 2021, a little over 4,000 Russians were encountered on the southern border. 2023, 33,000. Since October, over 30,000 Chinese nationals. They have released people from Russia, from North Korea, from Syria, Turkey, Iran, and this happens by the thousands.
So basically, our southern border is a magnet.
Korea, from Syria, Turkey, Iran, and this happens by the thousands every month. And they keep releasing them. And as far as the vetting, they'll keep saying, well, we vet them before we release them. Look, the vetting
You're
is
not
poor
doing that.
because we can only vet with the information that is available to us. And mostly that's NCIC if they've been arrested here before and committed a crime. But do you think Russia, Syria, Turkey, Iran is sharing any national security information with us on people from their countries? No, they're not. And look, I'll say this. This isn't the first time it's happened. It's happened several times in the last 2 years where someone was released from the border and ICE had to go find them later because derogatory information came up. It won't be the last. Unless they take actions to secure the border, something is coming. Christopher Wray says it. I say it. There's no way there's something isn't coming to this country because of this open border.
Look, the current director...
And guys, really quickly, let me just interject. Yeah, is something coming? Does it have the potential to come? Absolutely. Guys, all we can do is speak about what's been going on with people, some of the people from Venezuela, specifically the organization known as Tren de Aragua, that's currently in many of the nation states of the United States of America, right? Along with Manhattan. Right, like all of the, for the most part, criminality coming from the migrant sector of New York is coming from ones who have been let in and we didn't know the information about, guys, until it was too late.
There's something isn't coming to this country because of this open border.
Look, the current director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, has been saying it as a drumbeat. When he first mentioned this, it was a simple warning. And then he mentioned it again, the threats were deepening. And then he mentioned it again in front of Congress all of these times. Right. It was a dire, imminent situation that people be aware of. And now I don't even know where it is. Because now it seems like it's harder. And maybe you can talk to this. It's harder to catch these guys for all the reasons that you gave. Plus, we have sanctuary cities in this country.
Absolutely.
Excellent. That was the point I was just about to bring up. Right. Do you think it's a coincidence that these 8 were arrested in Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and New York, all sanctuary cities? The worst of the worst will go to sanctuary cities where they know they'll be protected because local law enforcement is not allowed to work with ICE. Any of these 8 people could have been arrested for a crime in New York or Philadelphia, and guess what? They're going to be released from jail. No one's going to call ICE. This is why the sanctuary cities are a sanctuary for criminals. They're a sanctuary for... And the latest information this morning, most were arrested in Philadelphia, with the remainder in New York. Only one was arrested in California. But again, a shout out to New York, where the governor supports this mass illegal immigration. Your mayor supports it. Your 2 senators, Schumer and Hildebrand, support it. Philadelphia, sanctuary city, their governor and mayor supports it. The people listening to this broadcast need to call your elected officials and demand that they secure this border and protect America.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm almost positive. The overwhelming majority of the people that are actually in the states that he mentioned, they don't really have any interest in it, specifically if they're close to the actual area of effect, right? The further they are away, most likely the less they actually care, but if they're being affected by it, no. And specifically in terms of the constituents, referring to the mayor of New York, most of these people are he's not going to make it, right? And what I mean by that is he's not going to make it another term, right? So, I mean, I think that's what's happening already. there's enough of the people that are there that are absolutely dissatisfied with how the mayor of New York specifically has been running the New York migrant crisis that, there's no way that he could win again, guys, right? But all right.
That part of it.
And I expect kind of that same thing to be happening in the majority of the other sanctuary cities.
But where's the president on this? He needs to speak now. He just put an executive action into flow. He signed it. He said that this was going to be the first step in solving the problem, and it blew up. This time last week, we had 10,000 people cross the border. And on Monday of this week, we had 1,000 people cross in Southern California. Look, extrapolate that out. That 2,500 number, is it likely that we hit that on Monday if 1,000 people on Monday alone came across in one state?
I can tell you this, Harris, I see the reports every day. I got my sources. I see the reports every day. There's been 5,000 or more every day since he signed that proclamation.
All right, so pause 1 second there. I can do the math. I know what they're doing. It's an average of 2,500. So what they're hoping for is maybe later in the week it goes down, and then they do the average, divide by 7, and it comes out close to 2,500 or 2,499. But from the numbers you and I are talking about now, that's mathematically not really possible.
It's not. And look, the bottom line is, anybody can look at the videos that Bill Maloogian has or other people on the field. There was 4,900 arrested yesterday crossing the border between CBP and Border Patrol. And it runs around 5,000 every day. And this administration's done nothing. They haven't done a single thing since he's been in the White House to slow the flow. They just send more resources to the border to process quicker and release quicker. And Border Patrol can't do the job. These 8 people that were released, they can't do investigative interviews because they got such a mass of people coming on. They take biometrics, they take fingerprints, and they're out the door. They don't have time to do investigative interviews like they should be doing because they're overwhelmed. And this administration did this on purpose. This isn't mismanagement. This isn't incompetence. They opened this border on purpose. He ran on it. And you got to give Biden credit. He kept his promise. We have open borders. And now we're in the biggest national security vulnerability I've seen in my lifetime.
Tom Homan, thank you very much. And thank you for the information on the Russian nationals who've come. I didn't realize that it had quadrupled, more than that, in a very short period of time. They're not a friend, Russia. No. Tom, thank you.
Well, the government is not a friend. Let's say that here. Generally, the government and the people are completely different entities. I've been to Russia, and I'm not sure the people that I've encountered were people that loved where they were. They were trying to get out of a place. And that's generally how a good amount of these people are most likely experiencing. Then you have that small number of people who have the ability to do the worst amount of things, right? And that, I think that's kind of what this video is about, right? The people that are being caught off of these watch lists, but how are they getting in? Because the border is open. And the world now knows our southern border is open. Just walk through. Right? It's like, bro, if you ever wanted someone, that lives in another country to be able to come here now, it's the best time in the world because guess what? Our southern border is open. Basically, is what it looks like. And that's how other people are basically kind of envisioning it, if that makes any sense. The reason why they're flooding the border, because this is the time to do it. Who's at fault for this? Absolutely Biden. Biden is at fault for this. Right? He's completely comfortable with the fact that the southern border is open because the majority of the people who are voting for this specific thing, right, on this topic at least, they're not experiencing anything. It doesn't affect them because they don't live in places where migrants are going to be able to afford to live anyway, generally, right? Like I'm sure, like for example, in New York, on Long Island specifically, I have not heard a single migrant encampment popping up on Long Island, New York. Okay, I haven't seen one popping up in the Hamptons, okay, or Lindenhurst, right, Suffolk County, specifically. That's where the money is, right? And I'm sure the overwhelming majority of people from that specific area are going to be more so Biden's constituents. The reality, right? So they can say all of these things and vote how they're voting exclusively because it doesn't affect them. But that's not the case for the people in the Bronx right now. Right? They're like, I don't want to be here anymore, right? If you vote for this, we're not voting for you. That's what's happening. in the overwhelming majority. Guys, happening in Detroit right now. It's happening on the south side of Chicago right now. The people that are being affected by it, that are seeing their parks turn into, like the parks that their kids would have played in, right? Being turned into migrant shelters. They're not interested. They're not interested. Guys. And they're not going to vote for it again. That's from what I've encountered. From all the videos that you guys have been sending me the last like 2 months, bro. Nah, they're not interested. But either way, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.